So we all are comic book collectors. We have comic books and shit.
Yes, we do.
Got some signed, some non-signed. Got some full, sagas and eras and phases.
Saga's coming back. But go
Saga
ahead.
coming back. And shout out to Image. And we got books. We got books, son. Are these books worth anything at the end of the day?
Some are, some aren't. Most chances are, if you bought it in the last few years, it's not going to be worth jack further down the line. I mean, because most of the milestones have been made, so there's not a lot of. It would take a real groundbreaking new character for like things to reach the pinnacle of like an Amazing Fantasy 15. Like there's things that aren't. We're not going to see stuff like that again, I don't think. It would take a real breakthrough character.
What about the limited runs that they did, like for like Escape from New York, Trouble in Little China, a lot of those random Blade Runner little mini stories.
If you didn't get some of the more exclusive covers, some of the rare covers, nothing.
You don't think so?
Nothing.
So what have value then? I mean, so is House of X gonna be worth anything?
No.
Power X?
No.
Like you just running out of steam now. Like
the new Venom dude. The
No.
King in Black.
No.
Trial of Magneto.
No.
So why not?
What are we doing here?
I mean,
Is it because they're digital now?
no. It's here's
Because that's what I'm thinking. More physical would matter, right?
here's the thing. If nothing game changing, genre changing happened in the book, if there's not a major
Rorschach?
if there's not a major character birth, death, or moment, all that plays into how a book is valued later down the line. Sometimes an old comic is just that, an old comic, and there's no value to it. And that can even be if it came out in 1963. They're very random. Like, I've had people show up when I had the shop open, random Superman book, like, oh man, this book was printed in 1963, and it's just a random action comic. Nothing,
nothing special.
It's
nothing,
worth 65 cents.
nothing special about it.
It's actually quadruple.
Like at its height, at its height, it could be valued at $10, but that's not what I'm
That's
about to buy.
because it was a nickel when it was made.
You're right. That's not what I'm about to buy it for. So you're not like, and that's the other thing. People confuse like, oh, my book is worth $1,200. So they come into a shop and like, yo, I want my $1,200. Like, no,
I don't want that.
that's not how any of that works.
So how does it work?
Okay, so when it comes to a book that's actually worth something,
Yeah, because they said the McFarlane, that Spider-Man
number one is
nothing.
worth nothing.
It's worth nothing?
Hey, that's the one that
It's one
Pharaoh
of the
said
most it's one of the most overprinted books in history, next to the death of Superman and Spawn #1.
What's wrong with Spawn #1? That's worth nothing too?
It's not as people thought they was gonna like pay the college tuition off Spawn #1. At best, you can trick someone into giving you $15 for a decent Spawn #1.
What?
But
Now you can get it graded and get
So
maybe
then-
a few hundred
But
for
what
it.
are people doing right now with the collections then?
People are collecting for enjoyment. Right now, if you want books that are, if you're trying to collect for value, you got to get the exclusive covers. In this day and age, you want to collect for
So they
value.
do limited numbers.
Limited number of covers.
variant covers.
Variant covers will have
I
more
got
value.
those joints. I got House.
But which
Effects.
variant do you have? Do you have the
I have
rare
first-
So
variant?
now it's a
I
very,
have-
it's a
I
very
have-
specific.
I have the first variants signed by Hickman as well.
Oh, they signed too?
Yeah, all my,
But authenticated.
Uh-oh.
So break that down.
Authenticated.
So break that down. I gotta get the stamps.
Because yeah,
and
you got to
seals,
get
right?
You gotta have a birth certificate.
You pretty much if
Pretty
you want
much.
it if you want it if you're trying to get real value and has a signature on it, you need to get it graded, authenticated with the actual certificate that says this is Jonathan Hickman's signature is officially signed. And even then, if the book itself still is not something that people are checking for, like, oh, I'm missing Way of X, Power X #1, House X #1 did this thing that was done nowhere else. If it's not that, you just
That
got
nigga
ink on the
signed
book.
Secret Wars too.
Yeah, you
Secret
got-
Wars ain't worth nothing either.
You got ink on the book.
Wow. I get no respect.
You want me to lie to you? You want me to lie to you? Or you
So
can't-
here's a question
It's
for
true.
you. In this particular time period, is it better to collect vinyl than comics?
I mean, if you can get rare vinyl and vinyl that's not overproduced, I would say vinyl is a little less produced than comics. So,
Most of the vinyl
so,
nowadays
yeah.
is limited runs.
So yeah, but even still, you have to think secondary market value is you're only going to get for what someone is willing to pay. Then you still have to find your buyer. So having something being worth something, you can have something that's worth $2.5 billion.
Who gonna buy?
But who's buying? Like you have
so
to
you
find your
can't
buyer.
cash. So there's no comic book man cash out. Like, hey man,
Hey, that reminds me of that
Read the
show.
book.
What was that show that with the comic book on it? It was like, it just was on, and it was based on it was a British show first, and then it became an American remake. And they had
many shows.
It was about a comic book. A comic book story that turned out to be real. The person in the comic book was real, and they were trying to resell the comic book because it was rare, and they were trying to collect it, and found out that the world was in peril and all this stuff. It was just out.
I'm not familiar.
That's pretty intricate.
That's pretty interesting. I'd be interested in finding out what that is.
There's a Netflix special.
Nah, it probably was on Amazon.
Yeah,
I'll tell you right. Hold on.
Yeah, find that out. But I mean, the staples will always be the staples. Amazing Fantasy 15, Action Comics #1.
But why did those remain the staple?
Almost everything in this right here. This is this is the first 17 issues of Amazing Spider-Man.
First 17 issues.
If you have anything of the originals,
fuck you get first 17 issues.
You have to.
That's a compendium.
So how much?
This is a compendium, but I mean, I'm just saying.
I know. Not here, but I'm just saying in general.
You just have to hunt them down. There's collectors out there. I mean, from First Aid to Graham Crackers to Mid City in New York to I forgot the name of the place in LA, Forbidden Planet, and another one in New York. There are lots of Mile High Comics in Denver. These books are out there and available. You can go find them. You just have to be willing to pay for them, and you have to be willing to shell out the real dough. And what normally what people do is they get lesser value prints and then flip those themselves and buy up.
Okay.
So it's like I take for example, I had the first appearance of Loki. I had a Journey into Mystery. I'm blanking on the number right now, but it was coverless. I was able to sell that for $300.
It was coverless?
It was coverless, but I was able to sell it for $300 because it's the first appearance of Loki, and that's not a mass-produced book. There's only so many of those in
without
existence.
the cover, I'll take it.
The show I was talking about.
There are some books that will never change in worth because they're first appearances.
So first appearances,
death of Gwen Stacy.
So why wouldn't an original
value.
Spawn work? That was the first appearance.
right?
Because it was overprinted
At the time.
It was printed in
But I mean, but that shouldn't matter because everybody ain't keep good copies.
But it's still one of them. Here's the thing: people
I got
thought
Damage Water on my first one.
Here's what people did with Spawn #1, X-Force, that polybagged X-Force #1, Death of Superman polybag. People bought multiple copies. DC, Marvel, Image kept printing.
Because the shit was hot.
So it was. So if you were better off cashing on your Spawn #1 in the
Back
90s than you are now.
So you got to treat the comics like stocks. In other words,
You have to pay attention to the heat index.
So why in the fuck you gotta pay Rob Liefeld $85 to get the X-Force book signed?
That's why we got a Rob Liefeld.
Because that's his price. That's his doing. He set that price.
Now you just
The
set
price.
it off.
Yesterday's price is not today's price. Not today's price.
Right.
Oh, that show I was talking about was called Utopia.
Okay. I have to check that out.
It's a weird show.
But yeah, I mean, it's all about you have to treat it. You have to watch the heat index like you would anything else. Because there are things like that came out that were hot, and then you were able to sell them right away. And then they cooled off, and you were like, "Wow, I'm glad I moved that. I'm glad I got my 50 for it because now it's only worth 10." So it's a stock game, but once again, staples never change. So Detective Comics 28,
So
first
pork
Robin.
bellies.
Those stay the same. Iron Man #1 will always be Iron Man #1. That's not going to decrease in value because there are not that many of them out there.
Jim Lee, X-Men #1.
Not worth a damn thing.
Fuck you.
Stop trying.
Not worth a damn
Just hang it up.
thing.
Nothing you got is worth
Fuck
it.
Dude, I can tell you this.
Fuck y'all.
I can tell you this. If it was printed in the 90s, it's almost worthless.
Fuck y'all, man.
I didn't make
So what's the point of doing this shit?
you
For
collect
the love.
You
well,
collect
it's
for
not.
your-
it's
yeah,
just
you collect it for the
exactly-
love.
But I mean, I thought books have value.
Some do, some don't. Like you never know
If you
what
take
will.
care of them, it's like the whole culture. You keep it mint.
It's not your kids, bro.
Yeah, I mean, you keep them well loved, and one day you hope that it is, but chances are, especially from the 90s, man, books were so overprinted in the 90s. Because that was like a big boom. 90s was a huge comic boom, so comics were overprinted. You know,
I'm sure Cowboy Ninja Viking has to be worth something.
No,
because they canceled that because they were gonna do the film, and then that went into limbo. But they never finished producing any more.
No, they're not worth. I'm sorry, Ambi.
Why not?
It's maybe worth cover price at best.
Fuck. That's why I've been holding on.
And also, let me just lay it out.
Episode called "Fuck You, Fuck You."
Just ruining everything.
Damn.
I used to have this was my life. People would come into the shop.
And you just like to take the wind out of their sales.
I don't like to take the wind out of your sales, but I can't give you money because you hoped I would.
But see, that's the thing. We can't go to the comic book store. See, that's why I was asking about the authentic shit, because it's like, don't you go to them like, all right, well, how you cash in on this book if it's graded this way and all that shit?
You have to find the
right
buyer.
But you know what's also tricky about this is that while we talk, like, something can have no value in mainstream market, but you go to an auction and that shit will sell.
Because once again, you have to find find your buyer. There's someone out there that wants your Cyberforce #1, but the chances of you walking around and finding that person are low. But
it's not like you can just go on eBay and be good.
Right, but also no one's going to give you more than $1 for Cyberforce
#1. You probably could.
Okay, so eBay, what about the eBay hustle?
Suckers are born every day.
Right, suckers are like people put books up on eBay all the time that are severely overpriced.
People put PlayStation 5 boxes and sell them for $1,000. I mean, you good on eBay.
I'm just saying, like people put stuff up there, and you'll notice especially in comic books on eBay, you'll notice varying prices for the exact same book. You'll notice like Bobby in Michigan got it for $500. Mike in New York got it for $1,000. Susie in Canada got it for $2,000.
Which is funny because all you gotta do is go in there and search for the lowest price, sort it by the lowest price.
Yeah, you sort by lowest price. But I mean, grading is one of the ways that kind of locks it in. At least gives you a negotiation.
And that's when they seal it off and everything.
Yeah, that at least gives you a negotiation.
Okay.
At least that gives you ground. But you walk up to me with that same book,
like
just in a poly bag, I'm not giving you $575 for it.
But if I walk in with the 9.6,
then I'll make you a $225 offer for it.
$225.
That's still better. That's better than
nothing.
Because if he buying it for
look at Thanos. Look at that.
I'm buying it for. I'm buying
it gonna resell it for more.
Right. I'm buying it for $2 to sell it for $350 and up.
Yeah. So you just gotta
So the reseller price still go up anyway.
Yeah.
Well, because they gotta sell it. So you can find the people he gonna sell it to, but you gotta figure out how to do that. He know the people because he's the store.
So you wait, you bide your time.
So it's like the middleman; they got to get their cut.
And also from my side of the fence, when I was running the store, I can also smell the desperation.
He's terrible.
I can also smell like
sharks.
Like people come in and they'll bring me an entire '90s run of X-Men, and they're like, "Yo, I want $1,000 for it." I was like, and then I'll be like, "Well, I only want this one. I only want these 10.
So to summarize what he's saying, for everybody to understand what he's saying, I'm a hustler, homie. You a customer, crony.
Oh,
that's what he's saying.
But once again, 90s books, people thought they were going to be worth a lot of money. And you have those completists out there that sometimes you can sell a whole run of something to, but you're not going to get. People want like $20 per book. Not happening.
Come on, fam.
Not happening.
So there's a limited run comic book that's out right now.
Extinction Agenda means nothing?
Nothing.
Midnight Suns mean nothing?
Especially.
Wow.
I'm sorry about it.
Fucking
You're a hater.
Civil
I'm
War?
not a hater. It is what it is.
Civil War means nothing?
Civil War, the
very first Civil War.
If you have
issue?
the single issues, especially the one that cap where the important deaths are. Not that happens later, but yeah, those can be worth a little more than cover price. But Civil War has depreciated in value
because of Civil War too.
So the movies doesn't help escalate prices either.
It helps escalate sales, not
like
prices.
A temporary spike.
Like Black Panther came out, and yes, his first appearance went up in price. Of course it did. because you could then at that point everybody wanted it. But once years later, it's come back down to what it was.
So it's just you got to work in that time, that
Yeah,
window.
same with first appearance. Even the first appearance Wolverine has gone up and down in price. It's always high price, but it's still going up and down.
That Hulk.
So that issue that Blade appears in Spider-Man,
That's not Blade's first appearance, so it don't matter.
it wouldn't matter.
No, that's not his first appearance. Blade
Spider-Man with the X-Force don't matter.
don't matter. Don't matter.
That's the first time ever.
Don't matter.
Fuck.
Not worth it. Not worth anything.
Damn.
Your 90s books, I'm sorry, aren't worth anything. And
Why the 90s books?
Because they were
That's when they
overprinted.
were
90s
mass-producing.
hip hop is a novelty thing, and everyone is looking for 90s hip hop to make vinyl and
Rare
repress
presses.
and
That's
all
'cause they
rare
were pressed
presses and all
rarely.
this shit. So you mean to tell me these stories?
I mean,
comic
stories
books-
hold up, but the 90s comics aren't worth a whole lot, and there are very few in the 80s that are worth a lot.
So we still banking off of 50s and 60s.
People still make
The stuff that I don't read.
People
Right.
still making bank off, yes, Amazing Spider-Man 1 through 10. You want real money, you play with them. That's where you play at. You play with Giant Size X-Men #1, Hulk 180, Hulk 181. In the 90s, here's a comic book from the 90s worth something.
What?
Amazing Spider-Man 300, first appearance Venom. That's worth something.
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
So no
That's
Death
worth
of
something.
Superman, none of that stuff.
Death of
Right,
Superman ain't
yeah,
worth
right.
nothing.
Nothing?
Not really. I mean, some people can try.
That was on the news.
And it was also overprinted. So if it's
So what's overprint?
That means too many.
That's mean it's so many in circulation that the value doesn't matter because
That
it's not
everybody
hard to
has.
get.
You get a comic, and you
Right.
get a comic.
Right. I've had in my time a half a long box of Death of Superman. I was selling those joints at $2 a pop 'cause I just wanted them gone.
Wow.
Poor guy.
I just wanted them gone. It was one of the most overprinted books in history. So I mean, once again, there are these rare moments where books are worth, like Walking Dead #1, worth a lot. Walking Dead 19, worth a lot.
Why 19? Because
First appearance Michonne.
Oh, Michonne.
Ah.
First appearance Michonne, worth a
Okay.
lot. So I mean, there are later books that like it's a matter of about what happens, who appears, cultural touchstone,
decides?
and relevance. The buyers, the buyers decide what book becomes popular or not.
So the problem is Kaz didn't decide that his favorite comics are worth a lot.
Well, he has no control over the printing. Image at the time Walking Dead came out was not what it is today. So at that point, they weren't also printing a lot of copies.
Youngblood 1 ain't shit.
Well, Youngblood 1, you should give to a homeless person.
Wow.
Wildcats 1 ain't shit.
Shade.
Wildcats #1, worthless.
What was that Silverhawk looking dude?
What?
Oh, the Void. Shadowhawk.
Shadowhawk, yeah.
Worthless.
Shadowhawk looked like he was.
Worthless. Savage Dragon #1, not worth much.
Oh,
Seriously?
no, Eric Larson?
Not worth much.
Some of them have to be worth something, though, right?
I mean,
I'm saying.
He's done some very interesting, unique moments.
These are new books.
Larson stuff does crazy shit.
there's not a lot of high value in Savage Dragon. Savage Dragon is not something you can be like, I'm about to make a mint off this.
What
Should
about
they-
this crossover comic? That type of shit.
What?
Nah,
I think that's a great story.
Great story. Does great.
Kick ass.
Kick ass not worth much anymore either.
Wanted.
I got a question for you, man. I got a off DC 1965 in good condition, The Demon. What could I get for it?
Which issue number?
Ooh, I think it's like between 5 and 10.
I mean, that's kind of like a pretty average book. You can probably get $5-6 for it, maybe, depending on its condition.
$5 and $6, Jay Donomus Prime. How do you feel about that?
I feel away,
Weak.
but I mean, I was
Damn.
just, wow, that's crazy.
But the
It makes you just want to
value.
go home and just like, fuck this.
Cause
But I mean, look, if they close down all the comic book stores, like like vinyl, like music stores, you can't go to music record stores. All this shit closed down. Bookstores closed down.
Yeah.
These are still physical things.
And some books will go up in value and some won't, because once again, it's about, like anything, it's about impact. Your rent, like there is a, who knows how many Spider-Man books came out in the 90s themselves, like between all those titles.
A lot.
Between all those titles.
Okay.
And you can almost count on one hand how many are worth something. After Venom comes Carnage, so Amazing Spider-Man 263, 264, 265 are all worth something because those are the first Carnages.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So there are moments. The Cosmic Spider-Man, when he was revealed to be Captain Universe, that was worth something for a heartbeat. It's worth more than cover price, but not a lot.
What about the other?
I always heard that
Nothing.
was pricey.
Nothing.
The Cosmic Spider-Man was always pricey. I heard that.
Those issues are worth a little more than cover. They're highly sought after, but they're not high value. You're not about to like make a mint. You may sell them for like $10, $11 if you're lucky.
So it's like your car. It's like a car. You drive it off the lot.
Yeah, it depreciates in value once you get it. And if nothing important happened, if nothing major happened in it, then you just got some comics.
What
But
if
you
the
never
artist-
know until you read it.
You never know until you read
What
it.
if the artist dies? Some shit.
If it's not his first work, who cares? Like if it's an artist that did, if it's an artist that did like a ton of books.
Fucked up individual, man. You one true nigga.
Like
I'm
I
just
said,
saying if it's not the okay. So
I'm a hustler, homie.
Jim Lee dies right now. That X-Men #1 may go up in value, but what's more important is his Uncanny X-Men when he made his first appearance.
What's that?
That's I forgot the it's
the
two
fold out
something.
cover?
No fold out.
out cover.
No. Don't hit my. Hey fam, don't tear up my shit, cause you man.
It ain't worth nothing.
All right. Don't tear up my shit. Don't hurt my shit. I'll come in your house, knock your books over.
All right, you're right. Where my gremlin at? That's just man. Shit.